Shalom to you, my friend. Our series continues today, and I'm going to tell you about shalom and how it's perceived in the days of the patriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. I include Joseph as well. And there's a theme that comes up in this whole area of time. There were three obsessions back then, and it was land, seed, and blessing. The patriarchs start in the date of 2166. Abraham is born 2166. Turn to Genesis 11, late in the chapter, and Abraham is born. Right, 2166 BC. And you'll know that for life. Go to the end of Genesis, and Joseph dies, and he was put in a coffin. That's the end of Genesis. That death of Joseph was 1804 BC. Go ahead and write that in. Now, there's hundreds of other dates I'd like to tell you, things I want to explain to you. I can come and teach all of you that. Your church, your home, your group, your retreat, your festival, whatever. And that seminar is explained at draketravis.com. Scroll down on the front page. The video is called The Book That Shook the World. That's a condensation of what the seminar is like. And boy, what you learn. I've been at this for 40 plus years, full speed ahead. And what's taken me 40 years, you can compress into a weekend or a day. It's a long day. Wow. I want you to know the scriptures and the power of God, by the way. And that's why I'm doing this. Onward we go. There were three obsessions in Abraham's day and the patriarch's day, and it was land, seed, and blessing. Abraham, he's in and out of the promised land. You're going to set up and stay here and set this thing. He leaves that town's made me laugh since I was a teenager. Abraham, where are you from? Say it. Where are you from? Abraham, stop stuttering. Where are you from? I'm from Ur. Oh, that's the town. I thought you were hesitant. He leaves Ur, goes to Canaan, goes to Egypt, the coast, the Jordan Valley, Hebron, Salem. It's later called Jerusalem. When is this place going to be yours? God appears to him and speaks to him and promises him 7 times. Isaac is born. Isaac digs a well. It gets stolen. He moves. He digs a well. It gets stolen. He moves, digs a third well. When can I get established and just be in the land here? Hang on. God knows what he's doing. Jacob is born in Canaan. He goes north to find a wife. He comes back. He thinks he's going to get killed. Yeah, land, seed, blessing. Am I going to have all this? He doesn't know. Joseph is finally born, has to leave as a teenager. And he's never back in this land again. So they have it, they don't, they crave it. Land, seed. He wants to give them seed. And you're going to have children. You're going to have families. All the people on earth will be blessed because of you. Okay, I need to have children. And they can't. Sarah can't. Leah can't. Rebecca can't. Rachel can't. This land we're going to have. These children we're going to have. What's the deal? This blessing we're going to have. The best illustration of struggling for this blessing is Jacob in Genesis 32, where he's returning and he's going through the Jabbok. The Jabbok Valley comes right down in to the Galilee area at the Jordan Valley. I love this place. I've been there 4 times. I want to stay. And he wrestles with an angel here all night long. And by morning, the angel says, no, you're not leaving until you bless me. I want you to bless me. Jacob wants to be blessed. He got the blessing. He kind of tricked for it. Somehow it's not verified in his spirit or something. Blessing, land, seed, and blessing. With these, we will have shalom. Well, today I'm going to talk to you about the personal aspect that brings shalom through healing and how they perceived it in the patriarch's time. Now, I know personally something about this concept of shalom and needing it and needing healing. And I'm just going to tell you one fast story out of my own life. I fell at the job I was on July 1991. I punctured a kidney. I didn't know you could be in so much pain and still be alive. I thought pain just killed you after a while. I was taken to intensive care. I was laid on a gurney, and for 60 hours, I am shaking and writhing. I'm in absolute agony for 2.5 days. It's like, remember Princess Bride when Wesley, my dear Wesley, is put on the table at the machine and the albino's there and Count Rugen is going to analyze his pain. I'm going to suck 1 year of your life away. And they turn it on and Wesley just shakes on this table and he screams and you can hear the scream. And that is ultimate suffering. I know, I remember when my father died. He's shaking like that. I was shaking like this for 2.5 days, wondering whether I'm coming or going. Am I going to live or die? God, take me. This is too much. Finally, after 60 hours, something happened. I was delirious. I fell asleep. I had peace for a bit. When these healings happen in Genesis, thank God. Oh, thank God. And all these healings are identical. When Jesus heals, we have in Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and there's more healings in Acts, we have 42 different incidents where Jesus heals, and they're all described in the Gospels, and they're all so varied. Sometimes it's a multitude. Sometimes it's touching a coffin. Sometimes it's saying a word. Sometimes it's smearing mud on someone and tell them, go wash, lift up your hand. He does all these different things. But all the healings in Genesis, and there's 5 of them, they're identical. The first one is Genesis 20. And God heals Abimelech's wife and Abimelech's slave girls. Abimelech, he's a king down on the coast. He's not part of the covenant. Abimelech sees Sarah. Hey, beautiful lady, I'll take her, puts her in the palace, and all the females in Abimelech's palace go sterile. What? And he finally finds out this is not Abraham's sister, it's his wife. Ugh, this isn't right. Returns her to Abraham, and the slave girls and Abimelech's wife become fertile again. Healing of infertility. And look who it happens to. Second healing in Genesis is Genesis 21, verses 1 and 2. Sarah becomes pregnant with Isaac. Finally. She's told she's going to have a baby at about 65 in there. And from 65 to 90, when we're in retirement and going into hospice in our era, she's told, you're going to have a baby during this 25-year period. I am? Really? God knows what he's doing. Finally, Isaac is born in 2066 BC. Hit pause, write that in your Bible, and you'll have it for life. You'll know it for life. Third healing is Genesis 25, verse 21. Rebekah is pregnant with Jacob. Genesis 25, 21. It is 2005 BC. The fourth healing is Leah. It's Genesis 29, verses 30 and 31. Leah, the unloved, gets pregnant as God intervenes. Interesting thing here. Sometimes we're unloving. God is always loving. The fifth healing in Genesis is Genesis 30, verses 22 and 23. Rachel is pregnant with Joseph, and Joseph is born in 1914 BC. In case you need any reminders, the theme is the healing of infertility to bring them peace because they want to have land and seed and blessing. The land is in jeopardy. The children have trouble arriving. The blessing, how do we get this blessing? And God gives it all in his perfect timing. And he's basically telling them, you will have children. Now, there's another story in Genesis. It's a little rough. It's on the other end of the scale. It's Genesis 38. Judah impregnates Tamar, his daughter-in-law, who covers as a call girl. I remember reading this as a teenager. I'm thinking, okay, this is weird. Tamar is in Jesus' genealogy, along with 3 other call girls of ill repute. There's four dark ladies in Jesus' genealogy. The best stories we have in the New Testament is his love and redemption of Mary Magdalene, who sees him first after his resurrection. Don't think you're too dirty to be used of God, to be loved of God, to be called of God, and be commissioned by God. Because look what he's doing in Genesis 38, where he's telling all these patriarchs, you will have children. He tells Judah, you will have children. Judah says, I don't want to. You will have children. You're in my genealogy. You don't even know it yet, buckwheat. But the blessing that comes to you late in Genesis is the greatest blessing in the whole book. It's going to be you, but you've got to have children to do this because the line goes on all the way down to Jesus. That in a sec here. Jesus is the Lion of the tribe of Judah. You will have children, and these children are a blessing. And something I don't want you to miss here is that the first healing in biblical history, the first healing that we read about in history, is God healing people outside the covenant, non-believers. Healing is for children. It's called the children's bread. God feeds his children. Parents feed their children. God feeds his children and heals his children. But healing is also done to open the doors for non-believers. I have prayed for non-believers. I've done it at truck stops, at parks, in markets. People think, you're going to pray for me? Yeah, right here. I'm not going to make a scene. Oh, Lord. No. God never did some, Jesus didn't do some, wild scene to do a healing. He just touched people and healed them. I put a hand on their knee. This guy was sitting down and prayed for his knee, and he starts to weep. And his knee feels different. He can feel something going on as he says, what did you do? Did you put WD-40 on my knee? What are you doing? I says, Jesus Christ has visited you this day. Call his name. Ask him to save you. But he listened to me because his knee felt different. We're supposed to be doing outreach. You do this in your church? The people in your church train them to go out and pray for people? Are you frustrated at your church? Attendance down? Place kind of half empty or whatever? You do this, in no time, you'll have 6 services every weekend. The place will be packed. It'll be a carnival. It'll be the busiest, happiest, most wonderful, zany place in town. Just reach out, and you can do this. And God's hinting this to us in Genesis 20. A lot of people miss it. He reaches the unbelievers first. You got that. Don't miss it. Jewish families today, they really relish their children. Children are being killed all over the world by the hundreds of millions. It's a very disturbing thing to me. It's a very disturbing thing to anybody of faith. It's just wrong. I mean, my mother is a midwife. She delivered children from 1956, 54 years to 2010. And one of these births, she delivered way beyond 10,000 children. At one of these births, she's delivering the baby for a woman who's like 40, 42. And she's thinking, wow, you kind of snuck one in late here. And the father is Jewish, and he's there, and he's praying, like Jacob wrestling with the angel. That's what they're praying when they're knocking and rocking like this. Lord, bless us, touch us, and they're praying away. The baby's finally born. This lady is so happy. She is squealing like a kid opening a Christmas present, getting what they've wanted for years. Oh my goodness, shrieking. She's so happy. My mom's thinking, is this your first baby? She goes, no, it's my 17th. They don't get tired of having children. These children are a blessing from the Lord. They're not an inconvenience. They don't ruin the ozone layer. They don't cause global warming. Anyhow, my mother, she one time she had in her career she had 14 boys delivered in a row. It's interesting about this thing about celebrating the arrival of new babies. In Matthew's genealogy, Matthew's writing to the Jews in Judea. And so he says, Abraham, he goes, the genealogies from Abraham to Joseph. Abraham, his son was Isaac, his son was Jacob, his son. Oh man, look at all these sons, all these babies born in, wow. And Matthew's just trying to prove a point. Abraham to Jesus, direct line. Track this kid. Listen to this guy. Follow him. Learn about Jesus. And by the way, there's other healings in the Old Testament, and we're going to post them right here. Hit pause. Write these down. Take a little. What we do in our seminars, a healing is a happy thing. Happiness is yellow in marketing. Every time they want to depict happiness, they use yellow. The happy face, it's a yellow face. And we always shade the healings. If you want to look at that list, hit pause if you need to, and shade each one of those healings throughout the Old Testament. Healing didn't start with Jesus in Galilee. It started long ago. God is this way because he's trying to bring you into shalom. So anyhow, that's about it for today. This healing, it does bring shalom, and God wants to do the same thing for you, to heal and bring you his peace. The world is only getting more troubled. And ironically, at the same time, we can only get more peaceful and more well and more blessed and more joyful if we let God touch us. This requires a knowledge of the scriptures and the power of God, which also erases great error from our thinking, from our lives. Anyhow, the Lord bless you. The Lord keep you. The Lord be gracious to you. The Lord lift up his face to you and look you straight in the face, show you his love, and give you his peace.